Void Mage Gamer is now partnered with Flipside Gaming, so you can use the promo code on their website, all caps, Void Mage, to get 10% off all orders $10 or more. It's a great way that you can support both Flipside Gaming and Void Mage Gamer's channel. Hey guys, welcome back to another deck tech video. I got a pretty cool one here for you if you like Boros, but you don't want to go with a typical combat strategy. It can seem pretty bland compared to other color combinations and what they're capable of doing, but Brion Stoutarm, the giant warrior from Lorwyn, a 4/4 for 4 mana in Boros colors, lifelink and activated ability of 1 red. You can sacrifice another creature. It's going to deal damage equal to that creature's power to target player. This is going to seem kind of weak at first because Boros wants to build up its numbers and it wants to dominate with the board presence with good keywords as well. But what you can do with this deck is load it with a ton of powerful creatures, a ton of creatures that are going to get a massive power and toughness, and we have a ton of creatures that are capable of doing that. Evra Halcyon Witness, Hamletback Goliath, Malignus, Sarah Avatar, are just all creatures that are meant to be massive in this deck. And for 1 red mana and tapping Brion, you can sacrifice those creatures and deal damage to a player, and because Brion has lifelink, you're also going to gain that much life. So it's a lifelink deck in Boros, which does kind of help out with how slow it may be. You can stay in the game a little bit longer that way, but a strategy that I recommend for anybody who's looking to play this deck and play some sort of control, you're going to want active treason cards because these are going to steal your opponent's creatures. We can make some use out of them, maybe get some combat, and then sacrifice them with Brion. You're going to want the majority of this out of your creatures just so that you have some sort of board presence. Captivating Crew is a pretty good one that you can do on an activated ability, but we of course have Zealous Conscripts, Conquering Manticore, and Molten Primordial. These are all pretty good as well. Give us some sort of board presence in addition to stealing an opponent's creature. It can definitely help us out if we want to return a swing, so you definitely want to keep those in mind. We don't have as many instant or sorcery active treason cards, but we do have Besmirch. I think it's pretty good. If you don't want to sacrifice the creature, you at least force that opponent to attack another player, and it's the same 3 mana that active treason is. We also have Grab the Reins. This is instant, and you have 2 different modes, so if you don't have Brion out there, you can sacrifice that creature if you entwine this card. And Word of Seizing is a personal favorite of mine because it's not just a creature, but you can untap any target permanent, have that permanent gain haste. This is also one of the split second cards, so your opponents really can't respond to it, making it pretty good if you definitely want to go uncontested, steal something, and then sack it with Brion. That is definitely a strategy that I would go for. Cool little sub-theme to the deck that I think a lot of people may overlook is Giants, because Brion himself is a giant, but you have some pretty cool ones in Boros. You have Desolation Giant. It has a kicker where you can just destroy all other creatures. You can still have your Desolation Giant out there. We have a Bloodshot Cyclops, which is kind of like what Brion does without the lifelink, and you could also hit creatures if you wanted to. And not to mention Inferno Titan and Sun Titan from the core sets. These are both considered giants, so while they're pretty good in Commander already, you get some flavor there. And then we have 2 really good giants for tribal. It's Sunrise Sovereign, going to give +2/+2 and trample to our other giants, and Borderland Behemoth is going to get +4/+4 for each other giant you control, also making it a pretty valuable creature to sacrifice to Brion. And we of course have the Hamletback Goliath I mentioned earlier. A lot of these cards can get out of hand for our opponents, and I would also recommend you're sacrificing a lot of creatures. Play a Stalking Vengeance so that when you sacrifice the creature, you're not only going to deal damage with Brion, but you're also getting the damage off of Stalking Vengeance. Another good thing that you're going to want to do with this deck is focus on aristocrats. You want creatures that do things when they die. So you could have your obvious Solemn Simulacrum, but I want to get some more value off the creatures dying, so we're going to go with Archon of Justice, get some exile removal, my favorite Hoarding Dragon, so you can search for artifacts. Yosei the Morningstar has a pretty good death trigger. So any of these creatures, you sacrifice them, you're going to get nothing but value. And it doesn't hurt to play some recursion. Can help you stay to the late game with cards like Karmic Guide, Artikar Valkyrie, Emiria Shepherd. And we also have an Artisan of Kozilek, which is an Eldrazi, a massive one that we can of course sacrifice to Brion to deal some more damage. We also have some ways to take advantage of Brion. Give him Infect with a Grafted Exoskeleton, because he is going to deal damage off of his activated ability. And we do have a lot of massive creatures that are going to be one-shot kills with Infect. And another favorite card of mine is Chandra's Ignition. We're going to have Brion deal damage equal to his power to each other creature and each opponent. This is going to gain you a ton of life and also be a pseudo board wipe going to kill most things, I would imagine. The rest of the deck is going to be Boros Control. You're going to see things like Boros Charm, Deflecting Palm, Wear and Tear, just some good value cards in Boros. I'll leave the link to that full deck list in the description box below. But anyway, hope you guys check out the deck. Hope you play it. Hope you have some fun with it. You guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next video.